Thought is an element of the human mind, brain. Same thing. Thought plays many, many roles. Many, many roles. We think in images, almost as if there's an internal projector, projecting transparent images onto the inside of our eyes. Now, not only do we think in images, we also think in words. From early childhood, we learn words which were created by man many, many years ago. And those words then give us the ability to express ourselves verbally. These words also give a voice to our thoughts. Or to put it another way, we think in words. So not only do we think in images, we also think in words. Now, for the fact that we think in words, it's understandable why thought might conventionally be described as an inner voice. And the voice of your thoughts sounds the same as your speaking voice. I don't know if you've ever noticed this. If words had never been created, thought would be silent. I want to do a whole nother video on this, so I'll leave that statement there. We think as I. Now, this might be an unfamiliar expression, but the whole operation of I is in itself the operation of thought. Or in other words, the whole operation of thought is in itself the operation of I. Thought is I, and I is thought. I and thought are one and the same. There's no separation between I and thought. Even the expression, I think. I think this, I think that. I think that's lovely. Even the expression I think is in itself a paradox, because there is no separate I that thinks. The whole operation of I is in itself thought. Or again, the whole operation of thought is the operation of I. Thought is the thinker, and you are thought. Thought creates feelings: anger, excitement, depression, anxiety. All these kind of feelings which are a happening of the nervous system. Thought is the creator of feelings. I just made 2 videos where I went deeply into all this. So again, I'll leave that there. You can look at those videos if you want or not. All our emotional states we find ourselves in are the result of thought. Again, just made 2 videos about this. Thought plays many, many roles. For example, thought plays many roles. For example, thought is memory, anticipation, procrastination, imagination, knowledge, opinion, I. I this, I that. In many of my videos, I've used the expression personal perspective. Personal perspective incorporate, when I use that expression, personal perspective incorporates all of this. Okay, memory, anticipation, procrastination, the expression personal perspective incorporates all of this. Thought is personal perspective, and personal perspective is thought. Now, thought almost seems to have a life of its own. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but thought operates involuntarily, constantly whirring away within the mind. Now, thought is constantly commentating anticipating, casting opinions, judgments. So very rarely is there ever a quietness within the mind, because thought always seems to be in operation. Generally, we are governed by thought, in the sense thought clouds our immediate sensory perceptions of the physical world in front of us. So being governed by thought in this way ultimately means that we spend most of our daily lives on autopilot, in a functional daydream. The nature of one person's thoughts will always generally be different from the next person's, involuntarily, naturally. Some people's thoughts will be that of a positive nature, naturally. Some people's thoughts will be that of a negative nature, naturally. And now the nature of thought, whether it be positive or negative, is never permanent. You know, it's not static in the sense that thought is forever changing. Our external environment, the happenings of our daily life can change the nature of our thoughts, and just thought in its own spontaneous nature, you know, changes. Thought can, a particular nature of thought can become almost permanent if a person does not see that there is a difference between thought and actual reality. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, in no way is thought the enemy. Thought is absolutely necessary to function in daily life as a human being. Thought is a catalyst. I like that word. Each and every second and minute of our daily lives, minuscule, minuscule actions and decisions are born of thought. What you eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever you eat throughout your day, throughout the course of your day, is the result of thought. All your activities you take part in, anything you happen to do throughout the day, is all the result of thought. From the moment you wake up in the morning, when that alarm clock goes off, you know, if you sleep with the alarm clock or your phone, which is used as an alarm, if you sleep with it under your pillow and you're able to reach for it and you flick it off, you know, you might lay there for 5, 10 minutes, 2 minutes, who knows? But the point is, if you wake up, the actual act of getting out of bed in itself is born of thought. In other words, you don't actually get out of bed physically until you think, I better get up. I don't know if you've ever noticed this. Now, I've often got my drink bottle nearby. Now, the thought of the reaching over and grabbing my drink bottle is an action born of thought as well. It happens so quickly, but I think about having a sip of drink, and so action happens. Does this make sense? There's endless examples of movement born of thought. But my point is this: most daily physical movements, actions, are born of thought. Thought, you could say thought sets the wheels in motion. Now, there is movement there is movement which is not born of thought. But again, I want to make another video going into all that, so I'll leave that statement there. Now listen, would you class yourself as an overthinker? Are you burdened by the constant whirring of thought on a daily basis? Negative thoughts, unpleasant thoughts maybe? Listen, you can't stop thought. There is no action you can take to stop thought. The intention to stop thinking is in itself the act of thought. Or in other words, the intention ultimately means all you're doing is thinking about not thinking, which is still thinking. So if you were to say, I've got to stop my negative thoughts, that statement in itself is the conclusion of thought. I don't know if you see that or any of this. Does anybody see this? And so if you come to the conclusion that you've got to stop your thoughts, a fight begins between two thoughts. I must stop my thoughts, which is the thought, versus the negative thought itself. So it's two thoughts battling each other, which creates conflict, inner conflict. You know what I'm saying? Now, in the field of mental health, separation is a huge issue. Inward separation. In other words, we separate ourselves from our mind, or we separate ourselves from our thoughts. Many people seem to believe that they are separate from their thoughts, or they are separate from their mind. To me, this separation is in itself the mental health issue. This separation is the issue, because separation provokes a battle between me and my thoughts, or you and your thoughts, which is wrong. It's completely wrong. We are not separate from our thoughts. We are not separate from our mind. You are not separate from your thoughts. You're not separate from your mind. Listen. Oh, excuse me. Look, if we were to see the fact that we are not separate from our mind, from our thoughts, see that any action we make against thought is in itself the act of thought. See all the roles which thought plays. To see all of this, I'd suggest, is probably the most profound change that could happen to a man or a woman, whatever. Seeing all of this, the nature of thought, seeing all of this, seeing how thought operates within yourself, evokes a change in the way the brain operates, the way you operate, because you are your brain. Look, I'm not making some bold, controversial statement here. This change is nothing magical or, otherworldly. This change I'm talking about is simply just the brain becoming attention, which is an awareness. Do you see all of this for yourself? The nature of thought, all of what I've just said, do you see all of this for yourself? The way thought operates, how Do you see all of this for yourself? Do you? Live your life and see. That is the answer. Which is attention. You might see this. You might see all this. You might not. All the best. Take care.